Hello, everyone, and welcome to Snap Take. This is Glazer of Snap Judgments, the official podcast of Marvel Snap Zone. Today, we have around 5 full deck guides for you, along with several extra decks, a ridiculously huge video, but we're going to kick this one off with a deck from our friend O Behaved, who came up with this really cool brew that a lot of our friends, including the great Gunny T, are having a ton of success with. Hopefully you check out this list because it is really strong. The new arrow is quite good, and this deck does a lot of work. You can find Obi at twitch.tv/obehaved, should you wish to check him out playing this particular deck. Madam Web, Hope, Scar, and War Machine are required cards. That is a reasonably expensive deck, but please be reminded that if you buy your season passes, this deck gets exponentially cheaper, because then you already have Hope and Scar, whom you've been playing since January, which means you would only need 2 Series 5 cards for this deck. Nebula is a Series 4 card still, somehow, despite being a very old season pass card, but it could also be Hydra Bob or Iceman in this list. In fact, I think Hydra Bob might just be better. Alright, so this has a 75% win rate, and Gunny climbed 5,000 ranks into the top 5,000 with it. This is a legitimate build. Turn 1, I like Nebula Blind. Turn 2 is either Madam Web or Armor. You can feel free to play Ebony Maw early if you know you have Madam Web. It basically lets you get cards into the Maw lane without any real trouble. You can also Psylocke if you can get an early War Machine. Early War Machine is incredible here. Turn 3, you want to play Hope or Cosmo. Turn 4, War Machine on Hope, Crossbones if possible. Excuse me. Turn 5 is Arrow, or if you've got that extra energy, Arrow and Ebony Maw is amazing here. You follow that up with Infonaut or Scar Plus. A Scar plus an Armor is a really powerful card. A Scar plus an Ebony Maw, if that's a card you still have sitting around, etc. That's how you play this. It's nice and simple. It puts out a ton of power. This is an Idiot's style deck from our friend Obi, and I urge you to check it out. I know a lot of my viewers are really big fans of big dumb idiot style decks from when Gunny first created them, and then that deck kind of blew up. So this is a modern version that runs some new cards. Alright, right after this is going to be the thumbnail deck, and that is currently sitting at rank 1. And just for anyone who watched yesterday's video, it's like, didn't you say yesterday's video was rank 1? Derek is sitting at rank 1, playing largely 2 decks. This is the second of the 2. I asked him what he was playing. He was like, these are the 2 decks I'm playing almost exclusively to be number 1. Cool. So one last look at this list before we get to the next section. It is very powerful, very cool. It combines sort of idiots with our new War Machine style of list. And it's just a very cool place to start. So if you're interested in Snap, please do check this one out. If you're interested in Snap, like you're watching this video for your health. Hey, since you're probably interested in Snap, if you're here, please do me a favor and hit that sub button to the channel. We're trying to hit 15,000 subs by the end of the year, and holy crap, believe it or not, we might actually make it. It looks like we're almost at 3,500, so another 1,500 in the next 3 months is possible. Likely, but possible. So please help us get there with that sub. It also tells YouTube to show us to more people, which helps us grow even more. Liking and commenting does the same if you're willing. Right below me, there's a little red button. You click that, you're subbed. Hit that button. All right, we are also giving away a season pass on our videos this week. Basically how this works is if you're subbed, I will ask a question at some point in this video, and you answer that question. When you answer that question, you're entered to win a season pass. I will pull one from the comments of a video this week, one winner from the comments of a video this week, and announce it around the end of the week. Next week will be a giveaway of one last season pass for this, and then we're also going to kick off our giveaway for Agent Venom, the October season. I cannot believe how fast this month is going, but that we will be kicking off next week as well. So if you're interested, make sure you check it out. In addition, there's a new Pokemon Pocket TCG, which is a brand new game that's supposed to be sort of similar to Marvel Snap. It's like a Pokemon game with extremely fast 5 to 10 minute games that gives you a bunch of free packs and stuff. It comes out on October 30th. We'll be doing content for it. We've started that content. We have an intro video that you hopefully saw in yesterday's video, but we also broke down monetization, and I made that video specifically for Marvel Snap players because I think Pokemon Pocket is going to end up using a fairly similar monetization model to Marvel Snap, and you can check the video for that breakdown. I'll link that in the top pinned comment and the description to this video if you are so inclined. All right, the number 1 list right now, or the half of the number 1 list, I don't know how to even phrase that, is this Derek Move Annie list. This list is so strong and so frustrating to play against. Fundamentally, Sentry and Madam Web is kind of a hilarious play pattern. It gives you just access. It like lets you have almost a free shot at a hobgoblin because you can move that demon wherever you, sorry, not that demon, excuse me, that void wherever you want. You can move your hood wherever you want, and then you can make sure that you're getting those cards over with either Viper, Annihilus, or both. And then you just have a ton of extra power because you've got Giant Dagger, Giant Vulture, and then you've also got US Agent for extra goodness in terms of taking down opponents' big stuff. This list is incredibly strong into the current meta. It has play into everything. Your opponent dropping those big old Agatha lanes means so much less when they're getting hit with voids and when they have -2s on their side and -3s on their side of the board. And your dagger is like 18 to 20 power and your vulture is the same. There's just so much to like here. Madam Web is a snap freaking condition for this type of list. All right, so Derek is still the #1 player in Marvel Snap. He was number 1 all last season, and basically he's been #1 all this season. He's making his case for being the best player in the world right now. I don't honestly think there's too much of an argument with that. I think Woody, Barzy, and Sizer are the other people that are really in competition, but I think Derek being able to hold them off and stay #1 for a second season in a row, if he finishes up this #1, is going to basically make his claim as being the GOAT right now. Or the Gaunt? Greatest of Gron? Yeah, let's pretend I can say that. You get to figure out how to say that. Greatest of right now, Gornt. Yeah, that's not it either. All right, so you need Ghost Spider, but you can buy her in a bundle right now. If you buy that bundle, you get access to her. Madam Web is needed. Please go get her before she's out of the shop. I did a last chance review of her on Sunday's video if you want some more in-depth thoughts. US Agent and Annihilus are needed. Kate is great, but Jeff, White Widow, and Cloak are all acceptable replacements. You can even try a Green Goblin if you're so inclined. Nocturne, Red Guardian, Shadow King, and again, you can try a Green Goblin if you are so inclined. That's how you play this. Sorry, that's the replacement. It's really simple. Let's go card by card for how everything is used. So, first we have the Annihilus package, which we will take together. The hood is just a -3 that you can give to your opponent. You can do it with Viper or Annihilus. Either way is perfectly acceptable. The other thing hood can do is if you end up getting hood in Madam Web lane, you can both confuse where you're going to send it over or just send it to a lane that you're not really competing in. Any of those work. Obviously, the point of playing the hood is having a 1/6 demon. 1/6 is insanely powerful. It's game winning, right? If you can send the hood over, you fundamentally paid 2 for 9, which is top of the line power. And if you want to say -3 off your side, -3 to their side, you can argue this is 2 for 12, which is, again, absolute top line stats. That's why hood's in the list. It's incredible. Sentry works the same way, except with 8 power on both sides. So if you can get rid of Sentry's -8, then all of a sudden what you end up with is you win. What you end up with is winning, right? Because that's a 16 power turn 4 play. Again, you can argue that it's 24 power since you're getting the -8 off your side, but you were fundamentally at net 0, right? So Annihilus will do that, Viper will do that, but again, the trick here is to go Madam Web into that lane, push it over, and then they cannot necessarily figure out how or where to block your void. Annihilus is the main card for this because if they do clog it, Annihilus at least destroys it and still gives you a chance to win the game. However, that's not always going to be what happens, right? That's what Viper is here for. So you don't see Annihilus, you do see these other cards. Viper gives you a way to get rid of the biggest negative thing on your side of the board, which is just a really powerful effect, especially since it has only 1 less power for 2 less cost than Annihilus does. Yes, Annihilus will send a whole board, and Viper will only send 1 thing, but in a pinch, if you only get Sentry or only get Hood out, Viper is often every bit as effective. That is fundamentally the package that you're playing for Annihilus at this point in the game. Next up, we have the move package, which is made up of Ghost Spider. Ghost Spider is here fundamentally to grab Dagger or Vulture and make them more effective. That growth is super important. Obviously, doing that once and then Doctor Strange is incredible. I tend to want to save Ghost Spider for Dagger if I can, because Doctor Strange is not an especially effective way of moving Dagger, because, well, Dagger has 0 power, so almost everything else will, the first time, have more power than it. So I like Ghost Spider to be used for Dagger, because the other way to move Dagger is Madam Web and then the Grapple Arrow. Dagger is just amazingly strong. She's basically always a 2/9 in this list. If you see a single move card, she's very often a 2/12. She can be a 2/24 with just 2 moves, which is a Madam Web and then a Doctor Strange. That is not terribly difficult to do. She's a lane winner. She's a card you want to play toward the end of the game in order to win with. Although you can play her early in a Madam Web and just chill with her for a while. Madam Web's incredible, and one of the strongest cards in the game right now. I genuinely love Madam Web. That she goes in decks like this, and she makes move tier 1 is truly exceptional. She's a phenomenal card. Do not sleep on her. Extra thing you can do with Madam Web or Ghost Spider is move a Nocturne, which is a great way to change location if you want to change 2, and that will help you stomp out the Storm decks should you still be seeing a lot of them. Doctor Strange is your worst move card. It's really largely for Vulture, and if you get like a Nocturne out with, and then you want a Doctor Strange and Vulture, you have a problem. Same thing for Viper, etc. So Doctor Strange is harder to use to the point where I will probably, not necessarily, but probably be changing Doctor Strange for Aranya when Aranya comes out later today. But for the time being, Doctor Strange is still a very powerful card in this list. Kate Bishop is in this list for 2 specific arrows. The grapple arrow gives you access to an extra move. Grapple arrow works fundamentally the same way as Ghost Spider. The play order changes, but the abilities do not. While the acid arrow helps your clog, and you have a decent clog mini theme with Viper and Annihilus. I really want room for White Widow on this list, but she just doesn't fit right now. U.S. Agent is your answer to all the what do we call these decks? The Agatha nonsense decks everywhere, the ones that Cam are pushing. U.S. Agent basically wins you a lane. U.S. Agent is incredibly strong. Turning Agatha into a 10 power card just makes it so much easier to compete against her. If you can do that and then get like a -8 in that lane, all of a sudden you fundamentally neutered that lane. U.S. Agent will also make that that void another -4, which is insanely good. He's a lane winning card all by himself in the current meta. You should be looking to play U.S. Agent if it's a card you have. All right. We also have Vulture. Vulture quickly and easily becomes a 3/9 and then a 3/15. You're probably not usually getting him bigger than a 3/15, but anyone who's played Hitmonkey is aware that a 3/15 is a lane winning card, especially since it can be dropped relatively late. Remember that a Vulture with a Ghost Spider is an immediate 9 power, which is going to be the biggest thing in your deck unless you've daggered a lot, which means that Doctor Strange is also going to pull it. If you can pull that into Madam Web, you get your extra move. You fundamentally have almost immediately done a build my own version of Hitmonkey, which is again what the real power here is. This is almost like the old school January versions of Werewolf Bounce, where like Vulture is your werewolf, right? Vulture is the card that gets super huge while you clog the opponent up to steal another lane. And Nocturne's here because Nocturne is the best way and the simplest way to beat the Storm War Machine Legion nonsense. They go for the Storm, you change that Storm lane, have a great time, they can't beat you anymore. That's it. That's a nice simple way to win that matchup. That's why these cards are in this list. Let's go turn by turn. So again, number 1 list. Turn 1, you play Hood. Turn 2, you play Madam Web, Right Blind, or Kate. Turn 3, Vulture on Web or Nocturne. Turn 4, you would like to Sentry, and you can start your moves here, but don't feel like you're required to. Turn 5 is Viper or Annihilus. If you play Viper, feel free to get out a Dagger or another card that you want to move. Turn 6 is Big Vulture or Dagger and Demon. And then you just want to play as much stuff as you can. And it tends to work out pretty damn well, because they have a bunch of negative stuff on the board, and you're getting a Hitmonkey-esque last turn. All good? This list is again very strong, currently ranked 1. This is the return of Annihilus. You should try this out. So right after this next bit, it's time for another deck that I would put Aranya in. This one is another exclusive from Derek. This is what he's going to start with that card. All right, one last look at this list. Again, this is fundamentally saying this is any bounce, except it's any move instead of any bounce, because the move package now pairs just a little better with Annihilus than the bounce one. If you'd like to see gameplay from this, please do check out Prashaun. Today's Tuesday, so Prashaun will be streaming games at 12 p.m. Eastern. Check it out. You will not be sad you did so. Also, Gregor2424 will have videos with yesterday's decks. Next up, we have Derek's Ajax Aranya. I asked him to put together something like this, and he was like, why are we, with Iron Man, and he was like, why are we not just using Ajax? Ajax is better right now, so this is an Ajax version. I'm going to say there's no replace for Ajax, but I bet you could pull something off with like a Mystique and Iron Man here, cutting Hazmat and Ajax and be kind of okay. I don't think that would break the list. You'd have to make sure you have enough power, and I'm not 100% sure you do with that change, but it's at least worth giving a try. It's also 2 more cards that get discounted by Ravonna, so maybe it's better, maybe it's worse, but it's also worth giving a shot to. All right, so another Derek list. You need Ghost Spider or Aranya, but one can be Doctor Strange without losing too much. Remember that you can just buy Ghost Spider or later today open Aranya, depending on when you watch the video. Madam Web, Ajax, and Sage are required, though again, Ajax and Hazmat might be able to be Iron Man and Mystique. Feel free to give that a try. Sage will be in spotlights. I think you really, really, really want Sage for this list. You just need ways to get more power on the board. The Human Torch and Dagger and Vulture can get big, right? But they're combo cards, so if you don't see the combos, they can sort of fall apart. So you want to make sure you have an extra way to do stuff. I'm very freaking excited for this deck, though. I don't want to play it with Doctor Strange. I want to play it with Aranya, so I'm waiting for it. Because Aranya means I can run Human Torch. Because Aranya plus Human Torch is a 1/8. And I don't need to do a whole lot more to win that lane once I have a 1/8, right? Like, just dropping a Sage there is enough to win in a reasonable number of games. All right, so this is a day 1 Aranya. So turn 1, you drop. You guessed it. Aranya. Turn 2, you play Ravonna over Madam Web, because when Madam Web costs 1, she's easier to play. It also will draw some ongoing hate for you toward Ravonna as you're dropping Madam Web. Turn 3, the first move if possible, or you can play Madam Web and get set up. Madam Web and Torch is fine here, and you can Madam Web, right? You can Torch, activate Aranya, Torch, and push Torch into a Madam Web, which is immediately going to give you a 1/16 as soon as you move that Torch out, which again seems like it's pretty damn good. Turn 4, move around Vulture or get set up for Beast. We're starting to move Vulture. Again, treat Vulture like Hitmonkey. I've started doing that more and more, treating Vulture like Hitmonkey or Werewolf, and it changed the paradigm of how I play the card. So start moving around Vulture. You're just basically saying, I've got to do extra work to move this, right? But like, you're pretty happy with a like 11 power Werewolf reasonably often. One move has Vulture at 9, and like if you can get 2, you're at 16, which is like top of the line Werewolf. Sorry, 15, and that's top of the line Werewolf. You can also set up for a Beast. You don't need Beast, but Beast is very good. You can also end up Beasting if you're going to try and go off on this turn. So Iron Fist, Dagger Beast, or Sage Beast is the goal here. Hazmat Beast is perfectly fine. You can also, if none of that is where you want to go, just drop Ajax. So turn 6 is Ajax and move Dagger, because if you went Fist, Dagger Beast, your Dagger is 1 and your Fist is free. So you can Fist and Dagger to get that last move, and then your Ajax is going to be huge because you Hazmatted. Or you can do move cards and Sage, or move cards, Sage, and Hazmat, because you can actually play all of them. If Sage costs 2, Dagger costs 1, that's 3. A move card costs 1, that's 4. Hazmat is 5, 6. And that is what we call going off, my friends. All right, next up, we're going to do an extra patch deck, because remember, this is the patch that's going to change Black Swan to become an activate card. So I want to take a look at the bounce deck I'd play for that. But first, one last look at this list, which is, again, super cool and almost certainly where I am starting with the new card Aranya, because I want to see what I can do with it. I will also, if I'm finding I have enough power without Ajax, be shifting to an Iron Man and Mysterio model. Not Mysterio. Iron Man and other card's name is Mystique model, because I keep hearing, I haven't been able to do it consistently, but I keep hearing Madam Web and Mysterio is, again, Mystique is insanely strong. All right, Gnome has 71% win rate with this bounce list, and I think because this list is so cheap, the Black Swan change will make it even better. Black Swan is possibly a 3/5 when she becomes activate, but because we know this card won't work on turn 5, my working theory, my working assumption, my working feeling is it's going to be a 2-cost card. If this is a 2-cost card, I think it's absolutely incredible. If it's something like a 2/3, 2/4, it's absolutely incredible. It helps the curve. It lets me figure things out far, far more effectively. It becomes a turn 4 play, like, amazingly. I can even then on turn... Well, I don't want to play it on turn 5. I can even still like play that on turn 4 and then Falcon Beast on turn 5, which is just like getting out extra power. There's a ton to like here. I am very, very, very excited for Black Swan to become activate. And even if Black Swan is a 3/5 activate, I've come around on it because Wiccan is a card you only play and bounce on turn 4. And, well, Black Swan works the same way, right? You would fundamentally be playing it on turn 3 or 4, and it would be doing the same thing Wiccan does fundamentally. Because Black Swan is here and a key card, we've got more ones, and that's fundamentally how this list is going to look to win. It's going to look to win with its ones, replaying them, and then it's got Werewolf and Sage, Shadow King and Sage, Shadow King, Werewolf in some combination to win the game. So you can find Gnome streaming at twitch.tv/gnome_plays. He hit top 25 with this list on the Infinite leaderboard. Sage can be Hitmonkey in this list. That is worse, but it is a change you can make. Silver Sable and Nico can be Iceman and Bast. I don't love Bast here. Bast is, again, a theory that if they make Black Swan... Did I do a turn-by-turn for this? I did do a turn-by-turn for this. So if they make Black Swan... If they make Black Swan a 2, then Bast is all of a sudden better, right? It's only really hitting Black Swan of these cards, and everything else just gets a bonus, including, notably, several of the arrows from... Hawkeye, Kate Bishop. Werewolf is needed, and Kate is good, but White Widow, Mordo, or more ones are all fine. Oh, I didn't explain Rogue. I'll explain Rogue in a moment. So 71% win rate in the top 25, which is just stupid, right? If I knew what Black Swan was going to be, this would have been the thumbnail deck. Maybe I should have saved it for tomorrow, but whatever. I'm sure we'll have more decks once the patch drops. Turn 1, Sable or Hood, not Demon. Turn 2, Kate if you have hand space. If not, you play 2 ones. Turn 3 is Werewolf. Turn 4 is move around the Werewolf. Beast and a 1 work. Once Swan changes, this is when you want a Swan. Turn 5 is Falcon and Swan or Beast. If you have activate Black Swan, it's Falcon and Beast, or Falcon or a bunch of ones and Falcon, followed by activating. And then turn 6 is going to be Move Wolf, Sage, and Shadow King. And then you win. It's worth noting that Rogue is here for a very specific reason. After that, we're going to talk about the Asia Championships, but Rogue is here for a very specific reason. If the Storm War Machine thing is annoying you, if they storm you, it's really hard for this list to win. But if they storm you and you just Rogue that Storm, right? Sorry, Rogue that War Machine, you've won the game. They don't tend to War Machine in the same lane that they stormed, so you should still have the opportunity and a free spot to do so. So you Rogue that War Machine, they are now locked out of that lane that you can play in for all your Werewolf and such shenanigans. Now, obviously, hitting a card like Ajax is still game-winning, hitting a card like Luke Cage can still be game-winning, so on and so forth. So Rogue is just a very, very powerful card in the current meta. It's not great into the current Hela list. Not Hela list, excuse me. The current Agatha list. Shadow King is really good for that matchup, and you can often just top power them, but it is otherwise really, really strong. All right, the Asia Championships happened over the past month and a half. They were basically teams of 3 from different countries. Team Johnson & Johnson won, captained by Johnson Snap, but he was not the MVP, nor was he the one who won all 3 freaking games of the finals. We'll get to that deck in a minute. We're just going to quickly look at the other 2 decks played by the winning team. First is Johnson, one of the most famous and important deck builds from Marvel Snap history. He's running the Storm War Machine Legion thing, as referenced in the past deck, but he's also, because he's got cool ideas, got a little move package, right? So you've got Jeff, Silk, and Miles Morales as your mini move package, and Hydra Bob, I guess. So basically, you get a 1/6 to go with your 1/7, to go with your 1/5, and to go with your 2/5. And almost all of these can get into an Ebony Maw lane, or Ebony Maw himself, which is just a ton of power, and that gives you enough power to win. Cool. Really, really cool list. Love the idea of putting move in this, and worth giving a try. I've decided I don't actually enjoy these lists, so I'm not going to be playing this. But if you're the type of person who's enjoying these Storm lists, please give this one some run. Also, if you don't end up with War Machine here, right, you can hope into a different card or a different couple cards, and then you can just drop Doom, right? And you can do other shenanigans that way. You get an early Doom, and then you're just playing all the big stuff on turn 6. All right, Winterhan is the other player who did not win in the finals, but was in the finals, and he played a classic arishem list. The only real change here is Legion is chosen as the 5 over some other options. Sometimes it's been Lady Deathstrike. There's just basically often a 5 in this list. And the other big change here is that this is running Doctor Doom as an extra 6 drop instead of Magneto. Okay, thanks. Impressive to see an arishem list still doing so good. My gut feeling is that arishem is in fact still very good, just no longer top of the meta, and people have moved on because we know what the deck does at this point. The MVP of the tournament and the person who swept the finals, however, is our friend Desmond. Hi, Desmond. I hope you enjoyed the video, my friend. Desmond swept the finals after, I believe, both of his opponents lost. It was called a reverse sweep, and I think that's what that means to these players. And he rolled with a list that I'm, honest to God, fairly surprised is this good. Because this list, despite using Wiccan, is sort of low on curve. It has to generate the high curve things it needs to win, or rely on Alioth and extra Cosmo, stuff like that. You can find Desmond at youtube.com/@DesmondKorea. He's awesome. Just one of the most important deck builders and players of Marvel Snap that you may never have heard of. Beyond that, we have Kate, Wiccan, and Alioth as needed cards. Jeff and Widow can be Baron Mortal, Mirage, Medusa, Quake. I really like Quake right now. Again, countering that Storm nonsense. Then we've got Speed is generally speaking better than Gladiator, but you can run Gladiator in that spot without losing too very much. And then finally we have Nocturne and Red Guardian, who could be Copycat or Rogue. And I'm aware one of those replacements is a Series 5 card, but it's a really good Series 5 card. I think Copycat's just kind of better than Nocturne. All right. So turn 1, you want to play Quicksilver because you're trying to Wiccan. Turn 2, you play whatever 2 unless you don't have a 3. And if you don't have a 3, you want to play Kate because Kate says I can play an arrow and a 2 and still get all energy used. Turn 3 is very situational. I tend to prioritize Coulson. I gave this a try. I tend to prioritize Coulson, but Speed is a perfectly fine card to play here. Nocturne is also fine if you don't have anything else, and Red Guardian is to be avoided unless you have a target you want to hit, because a late game Red Guardian is often stealing cubes. Turn 4, Wiccan if possible, if not 2 2s or a 3 plus an arrow are perfectly fine. The other thing you could do there is if you played Coulson and you have the right card, you can just play one of his generated cards here. Turn 5 is Coulson cards or 3 plus 2. Again, Coulson is perfectly fine as that 3 here. Again, Cosmo is very good here if you can tell where your opponent's trying to do their thing, because you should have enough power because of cards like Speed and so on to have priority. And if you do, then you end turn 6 with Alioth, or you can go a crazy 3 plus 3 plus 2, which, for example, in this list could be Cosmo and Red Guardian and Jeff, or Speed and Cosmo and Jeff, or whatever, which is, again, crazy strong. So Wiccan is very good in this list. Desmond, the MVP. Congrats to our friend for winning the Asia Championships with his team of Johnson and the player's name who I just heard for the first time, which I'm going to go check, Winterhan. Oh. All right. That was a lot of freaking decks, right, y'all? So let's do questions of the day, Patreon, and get out of here. Where MTL asks for demographic data on who plays Snap and says it feels more male and middle-aged than most games. I think a lot of games are middle-aged, card games in particular. However, I don't have demographic data for Snap. I have demographic data for my channel. My channel seems to be largely 18 to 45-year-olds. There are some on the younger and some on the lower end of that spectrum, but the majority of my viewers are 18 to 45. And an interesting phenomenon is the older the viewer, in almost a bell curve, the closer they are to my age, the more of the videos they seem to watch, which I think is really interesting. As far as percentage-wise, I've got some almost 2% women watching, which doesn't sound like a lot, but apparently it's near the top in this space in terms of percent women watching, which is brutal, but thank you for watching. My wife thought that was funny, sorry. And then we've also got, yeah. And then, like, that's up from, like, 0.1% women watching at this time, like, 6 months ago. So, I don't know. I'd really love this game to have more gender equality, but it does not seem to right this moment. All right, the Goat Seeker asks my definition of high infinite, suggesting is 5K is meaning high infinite, top 1K equals leaderboard, and top of ladder equals top 100. I'm ultimately fine with that. I don't really care. You define it how you want. So, to me, KM colors a lot of the high infinite discourse, right? And what he means is like top 50 to top 100. I don't think that's necessarily a fair definition for everyone. You can consider high infinite kind of whatever you want. I think top 1K as leaderboard material does make sense. So basically, I'm a leaderboard player, but I would not be high infinite or the top of infinite. I think top of ladder and high infinite fundamentally mean the same thing. I know why 5K is suggested because 5K is when it starts showing the rank, but What I honestly usually consider to be high infinite or top of ladder or anything else is the top 10% of infinite. You can find those stats on Untapped if you're Untapped Premium. So I use top 10% of infinite as my proxy for high infinite, which tends to be about 2,000 people by the end of the season. I think that smaller sample of players, that's the people who are really trying to win as a general rule. I will use other stats. I also look at top 50% infinite stats. Below top 50% infinite, I mean, at least until fairly recently, you were running into like Agatha gamers and stuff, and it was harder to take those stats as useful. Or not useless, but as useful as the higher ones. All right. Vince asks if I ate anything good or interesting lately, and my wife is an incredible cook. She makes, generally speaking, like varieties of rice and chicken most days that are absolutely stellar. Sometimes pasta and chicken, but like I eat a ton of chicken at home. As far as going out, we haven't really had a super great meal out since we've got home, at least off the top of my head that I can remember. Uh, but when we were in Colombia, we had numerous fantastic meals. However, I want to take this opportunity to shout out my favorite thing I've eaten in the past like year. Um, we had we were in Iceland last year, and like I know last year is not recent, but the lamb in Iceland was absolutely completely bonkers good. I literally still fantasize about it. It was that delicious. Um, Outside of that, I don't think I've had anything like completely nutty good lately. Oh wait, that's not true. We went to a Venezuelan restaurant with one of my friends, and we had these um, like almost artisanal arepas that were absolutely excellent. So that was really really good. My wife is going to add things in. Oh yeah. I said while I was in Colombia, we ate good things. Yeah. So okay. Yeah. When we were in Colombia, there was a place that had like I don't know, almost like their own version of like animal fries or nacho fries or whatever, and they were absolutely excellent. Like there was a place called Gringo Mike's in Colombia, in the little town we were in, that was stellar. Just had absolutely great food. It was sort of like junk foody Colombian food, but it like didn't matter because it was just so well flavored. All right. Uh Certainty of support on our Patreon come with honor. Thanks. If you're interested in checking out our Patreon, please do at patreon.com/snapjudgments. Every bit of support is ridiculously appreciated. I'd like to say thank you to Abigail Geeson, Mandatory Burnout. How you doing, Burnout? Cables, haven't heard from you yet. Hope you like the new channel, Cables. It regardless, it's a word. David G. Wingfield, hey David. Direwolf, hopefully you're doing well. Always kind, LAB. FaThorNewman, who you should check out on YouTube and Twitch. Good Dog Gamer, and I'm sitting there on that deck, and I keep like forgetting to feature it. Then I read your name, and I go, "I'll feature that tomorrow." And then by the time the next day's video comes, I've lost it. I'm sorry, Good Dog. Uh, Ink, the Graphite Fanatic. I am Frostman. You are Jay Neverate. Hello, Jay. Corwin. Hi, Corwin. Primed Ryan, winner of Snap Judgments League. Oh no, sponsor of Snap Judgments League Season 2 and friend of the show. Ryan Burke. Hey, Berkey. Kier Tix Lee, the King of Questions, who helped me out so much with the Pokemon stuff. Koirei. Hello, Koirei. Coming all the way from Japan. Black Dahlia, my alliance leader. Hey, if you need an alliance, you need to hit me up because we got some spots for you. Pyro Frost. Hello, Pyro. The Goat Seeker. Got in a question. Den Man Falcon. Check him out on YouTube. Great split content. Quid Pro Joe. Hey, Quid Pro Joe. Doc D, the King of Marvel Snap card content. I can speak, Doc D. Sorry about that. Fat Nick. Mr. Kerfuffle, who I played recently. Ginger Prime, hi Ginger. Ratco, who is responsible for all those great shorts you see on the channel. We'll have another one going live at about 3 p.m. Eastern. We have a couple bundle review shorts if you're interested. Also out right now. We have Haplo. Hi, Haplo. Kenny Loggins of The Danger Zone. Rob Silverman, one of our OGs. The Bizza, who is quite notorious. XOSV and Skippy G, rhyming friends. Winner of Snapchat League Season 1, sponsor of 3, Tommy Nyquist. The King of Bros, Brett. The Great Kazoo Warp. Hello, Jessica Gamble. Woody, how you doing? The Kev C. Hoda. Luna Chris. We're in like the awesome name category. Quantum Quinn. John Q. Jimmy McQ. No relation. Glam. 8th Sage. And now we're on to the Mod Supreme models. The one and only Darth Vader, No Joe K, Joe P, Brian Kaufman, Tristan H. Martin, and Jason B. Real name Town. J.D. McDonaldinho, the Fuzzy Dunlop, who never left. Spectrumix, hi Spectrumix. Woo. Matt H, we only need one. DJ, Mikey, Hijinks, no frickin' flex. Ocularis, who still hasn't told me about how his climb is going this season. Mr. Craig Sterry. Seamus, who's catching up. Welcome back, Seamus. Jonesy. Two Ties, who's doing wonderfully. Also helped with that Pokemon video. The great Lauren Whatevs. Appreciate your support always, Lauren. The Pirate King Tuccrr. Check him out on YouTube. He's blowing up. Don't miss out on the Pirate King Tuccrr on YouTube and Twitch. The Homie Min, who we miss constantly. And of course, Gunny T, where the T stands for. Don't forget about our cool new Pokemon video. I'm going to link 2 videos, hopefully, below. I don't know if YouTube's going to let me do that. But if I can, I'm going to link yesterday's video, which has the other #1 Derek deck. And hopefully the Pokemon monetization video, Pokemon TCG monetization video, which should also work as a cool intro for Snap fans. That's what I got for you today. Thanks for watching. Peace.